reviewing progress. Obviously there's some wiring, prepping and laying new track, fitting scenic brakes, and what's coming next. Done a little bit since the last update, but most of it has either just been tinkering in the odd half hour I've got, or the one occasion I was going to film something, my battery was flat. So let me update you as to where I am and what's next. So these points are now fully fitted, fully wired and coded. So they're working fine. And we've been running some test trains across those and they're working absolutely fine. So just to recap what each of those do. So the right hand line coming in here comes from the up or down from one end of the fiddle yard and joins this section here. That left hand line where the 66 is in the background, that is the lower loop. This fork here will be the incline to the upper level, and then this is the continuation on the lower loop. Nothing's really changed around on this side. That's now just waiting for the left hand side auto reverse system to go in. I've got it, I've just got to do it. Where the activity is going to happen today is continuation of this line here. So what I want to do today is get it sorted so it's coming through. There's going to be a point there. The left hand or the top line is going to be from the incline decline to the fiddle yard from the opposite direction, and then the right hand turnout is going to be the continuation of the lower level loop. So I have got to bring the track bed across this board. I've got to firm fit the last corner board and then bring it round onto the side here, which I've been using as sort of a tool storage work area. So I've cleared it. I have glued the incline risers from the edge of the board up, dropped some cork on it. That's dried overnight to the edge of the board here. It will then just continue up to the height of the running lines. When I've done that, it's going to allow me then to cut and put the riser fillets in along here for the branch line to come across the doorway, join up, loop around, and then connect up with the right hand side of the turnout there. So that is today's, well, this weekend's proposed course of action. How far we'll get I don't know, but I think I've got everything I need in offcuts and spare bits of timber, etc. So I'm going to crack on and I'll give you an update as we go along. Some progress this morning. So coming off the end of the point that I finished at, I have then cut this section of 9mm ply. So there's two pieces, one on top of the other. My wiring went through the hole here down to the bus terminal below. So what I've done in preparation for the track that's going to run across here, I have ran the cables and just labelled them to the relevant sections of track that's going to be, so I can connect them all up. And I've just left them dangling below so I can connect them into the terminal bus. Point's roughly where the point's going to be. I've then fixed this board down, so the little battens are in. Final one gluing over there. A couple of people have said to me, I said this was modular, but then I'm fitting these battens and securing it to the floating metal beam below. How am I going to get them out? They're not actually fitted to the metal beam below from the top. So what I've done is these are glued, but then underneath, coming up through the batten that's attached via the front into that box section, there's a screw coming through the wood into the ply and then into this batten on the top. So it's basically squeezing it down like a sandwich. So if I ever want to release these boards across the top, there's about 4 or 5 screws just placed along the underside. If I drop them out, these boards then just lift off. These battens, just edge it, but also just give the edges some rigidity as well. So I have then glued foam riser to join up with the riser on here. Obviously there's a gap there. I've just firmed the edge of that up with a little bit of cork so that when the cork road bed comes across, it's nice and firm. I found when I did the one on the other side that I thought it could be better, but it was in place by then. So what I've done here is just put some foam in to really firm up these pieces here. And I have lifted the weights off of the foam track bed there. So the foam track bed all the way around, across the join, and then climbs up to the same level as the other piece across there. So I've managed to kill my DeWalt drill, so I'm going to go and get another one of those. In the meantime, this is going to dry out. Then I need to put the second piece of foam in there to join up the loop, and this should then be dry and firm, so I can run the cork across, drop on the DCC Concepts power base, and start getting ready to wire in the track power. I'll cork this, and then I can DCC Concept all the way around there tonight, hopefully, and then tomorrow I can lay the track. And what that will mean is I can then run a test train from this side all the way around through the points, across there, and then run it down the incline all the way to the door edge. So I am going to shoot and pick up another drill because I've killed this one, and then I'll crack on and update you again in a bit. Last job today, I have now got power base down and glued from the point where I finished before, so where it's in its stainless colour, until it's got its blue protective film in it. So I laid power base and glued it all the way along through where the first Dr. Pepper is, which is where the point's going to be, across the baseboard join where the engineer's blocks are, and then it splits, and I've got the lower level loop power based and glued up to where I need to start building the fillets to suspend it, and then behind is the incline with all the power base on and glued all the way around until it stops for the piece where I'm going to have to work out how I'm going to go across the doorway. I've got a good idea, but that's going to be coming in the next couple of weeks, I think. So that is all glued. Leave that overnight, come back down tomorrow, and I think my first plan tomorrow is to get the track and get the points all wired in here, get the track glued all the way around and down to wherever here before I stop to take it across, and then when that's in place, I'll then start dropping the fillets in. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet, because I've got to negotiate this end here where the tracks are going to come across, so I might need to put a couple of different angled fillets in, or drill some with some holes in, etc. So that is tomorrow, but it's been quite a productive day today. So yeah, pleased with that, and I will be back tomorrow with the next part of progress. DCC power base is down and glued all the way around and down to the point, which is where I finished last time. So I then laid the concrete sleeper and then transitioned it back into code 100 for the point. So the idea being that there will be some sort of visible tunnel section in there. I've also taken the chance just to drop another yard of concrete sleeper up the incline there. That's wired and gluing. All of this is droppers in and through the baseboard. The point is wired, and I've also probably just see, where is it, there, that's the frog juicer as well, so that's in, and the joins over the baseboard are powered on either side as well. What do I glue it with? Copydexed the DCC power base to the cork. The cork is then Woodland Scenic foam glued to the risers, and the risers is Woodland Scenic foam glued to the baseboards. Where I have a transition across boards like here, I've just put a little bit of super glue underneath to really cement the track to the DCC power base, but we've been through that before, so I'm happy with that. Bit of fiddly progress today on that, but then I realised when I swooped round to this side that because this board has been a dumping ground for everything for so long, that I didn't actually run the power bus under here. Put one terminal connector in there, but I hadn't got a power bus in. So what I've done is stuck in the aux power bus as well, and then I've taken power from the main lines here, run them through detachable terminal connectors and underneath. And if I drop down and show you underneath, it comes through and then runs around to the terminal blocks, and you can see there as well I've actually put the first pair of DCC bus suppressors in, so one on the very end of the aux coming in this direction and one on the very end of the track bus. So that's progress for the last day and a half or so. Reasonably pleased with that. Once that's fully cured, running the Code 100 Flexi all the way around the bend to the edge of the door won't take very long at all. It's nothing complicated apart from some droppers, and then it will be cutting the fillets to join the lower level loop. I just need to have a little bit of a think about what this baseboard's going to look like in terms of scenics. I have got the rear scenic boards cut. I'm going to sand them shortly and PVA them so that I can make a decision on what back scene I want on it, and then that will tie into what's this space going to look like. So bit of thinking to do on that, but yeah, good progress today. As soon as this is dry, I can run a few trains over it and give it a good test. Progress update. So I have been doing some wiring, getting all the droppers that I fed through from the track above down and into the power bus distribution unit for the track. I have also wired in the frog ready for the point above, which is now in place as well, and the motors in place as well for the point, as you can see there. And then I've moved across and wired into the bus the droppers for the track on the next baseboard as well. So one point is now in, point motor in place, all wired up across the baseboard join. All the droppers are in for the concrete sleeper section, and the feeders in there. I have started gluing a couple of the risers in so that I can take the level from there across to the middle of the board to the end of the board. And the reason why I want to do that is because then I can get the right height on the step down onto the board on this side. I've also now laid and glued a section there and then a second section there, so that's currently gluing at the moment. All the droppers are in, there's some there and there's some there, and then I've got another piece of track there bent but not soldered up with droppers yet to take it to just prior to the end. So that is progress thus far. Next stage I think is going to be getting the riser in on the end. Might as well put the riser in on this side as well, so there'll be two risers, one each side there. That'll enable me to get the riser in on the end here, and once that one's in I can get the height here to get the larger risers in. And of course these are two steps, you've got the lower running line and then the higher line as well, so just need to bear that in mind before I have to look at the complicated element of making sure I've got it level across there. Away from that, not a lot else has changed. It's just looking a little bit more complete now that the track flows through down and around. I have got the fillet or the riser in this side to join up to the holes already on the other side. I've cut where the lower level line will pass through, so I'm going to jigsaw that out in a minute. And then I have on the other side run the curve roughly where I think it's going to go to join up there. So I think my next thing I'm going to do is cut the piece of 9mm track bed to sit in there. Once that's in, I can cut the other risers into place, and I think that'll probably be the quickest way of doing it, with the main aim really to get the track from where it finishes around there to run all the way around to here, and then I can build a piece across. So that's the objective today. We have a little bit of progress. So the all the risers are now cut for this end, the deeper end. I have gone and cut an extra riser for there. I felt the gap was just a little bit too big across there, so they're all cut. I'm now going in and just cutting these supports, which will support the baseboard, as in the other areas as well. Where the lower level branch line comes through, I just need to tailor the lower level board that goes in there to fit in that hole, which will be one of my next steps. But it is now coming together, so as you come off of these risers, it's level onto these risers and level all the way around to here, and this will be the exit point of the lower level line across the door where I'm standing to the other side, and I've got the two incline and decline runs there. So fiddly little period to get all these clamped in, but what you can see there is now drying. I've actually run out of the 44 by 18 mil plain smooth, so I'm going to go and get a couple of extra bits of that, because I've still got this section here to put the cross supports on. So all the risers are in, they're all the right height, but I need a little bit more timber to facilitate getting that done. So that will be my next stage. So it seems like ages of not actually seeing any visual progression. All of the risers are in, all of the supports are in, and I have the lower level branch line, not quite sure what I'm going to call it yet, I keep referring to it as both, baseboard in, screwed and glued, and then I've dropped onto that the single 3mm cork bed up to the join in the boards, and DCC Concepts is down and glued and cut across the joint, as you can see there. So now a case really of letting that set overnight through tomorrow, then wiring up from the point crossing over the baseboard there, wiring the section that then will travel across the joint there, and then along this section, getting all that glued down, and then I'm here at the crossing across the doorway. So next stage on this piece is probably going to be to cut the end board here, and I'm going to have to cut it and work it around the unit, mount that on, so then I can run the track this way to go flush up to the end of the boards, taking into account the incline and decline there, similar to as is on the other side, which is behind me. But yeah, pleased with that. It's all level, it all meets up nicely with the board coming round from the left, and is also level with the board that's behind me that joins up with that section. So yeah, some good progress there. We are now not far away from having a complete lower level loop running, which means I can finally get some trains running round the whole garage. Some really good progress. I have now got the track laid, glued and droppers in for this last side of the lower level stroke branch line. So it is in. I have wired it so all the droppers are in, all the droppers are run through to the appropriate down point in the baseboard. So I'm happy with that. I've got it to the furthest point I can get it before I drop in a piece of set track across the join. So that is all ready to go, and I've just placed in one end of the final 3 pieces of scenic board at the back, just to make sure my levels etc are correct, which they are. So now I have got the lower level to this point. What I need to do is put on the other board. So I will just pause for a second, clamp that up, and I'll be back. That is the next end board, so to speak, that then will bridge the gap across to this end board where the lift out section will go. So I've got a piece there which I need to cut and trim to avoid the cupboards, and then I'm just making a decision as to whether I leave it square or I taper it, or I bring it up so high and cut it off at a lower point. Now the tracks will come out on the higher level and come around the corner, and there'll be some sort of scenic break here into some sort of portal or tunnel entrance. I'm just working out whether I want the board to stop at that point or whether I run it the whole height or chamfer it off and allow that view to come around there. So I'm just mulling over the best way to do that at the minute, but those will then marry up with those there. So I've got the large hole to put in for the main running lines, the lower level hole, and then the 2 for the up and down of the inclines. This is the fiddly bit, to make sure this marries up and all the holes are in the right place, get it cut, then a little bit of filling and whatnot to make it work. But I'm pleased with progress. Lower level line in, obviously it goes from off scene to scene, which is why I'm on concrete sleepers, and then back to set track code 100 as I've done elsewhere. But yeah, don't feel like we're far away now from dropping in a lift out section, which will enable me to finally run something round all the way. Moving on a little bit, and a little bit of progress. I have cut this board, which was just a rectangular piece of board, narrower, and then cut it so I've got access to the shelves below. I've then just put in or built a box section there just to tidy up that corner. It needs silicone in, but it's in. Then I've got the section cut here for the 4 or 5 lines that will go through there at this point. The lower level line, incline up, incline down. So they are glued. And as you can see, I always cut the holes bigger than they need to be to give myself a little bit of packing space underneath. So these are now all leveled and packed. There you go. And then what I will do then is do what I did on the other side, which is come back with some fine filler, fill these and sand the fronts off so they're nice and smooth. The little pots and cans at the moment are just gluing the DCC Concepts power base pieces down, which I put down on the butt joint or joining part to a removable or modular section. So the next stage will then be to glue the track onto those. I have already got the track cut to size and soldered with droppers. It's all ready to go. Loosely just placed in the backboard or back seam board there, so that I know where I was coming to with the end board. So while the glue dries, I'm going to take that one, and that one, sand them back so that they are ready for PVAing and sealing. Fiddly little option, an exercise to get this piece done, but it's done, and I'm happy now that it will join up from this side and they'll flow over to there. So the next job, and the one I'm probably least looking forward to, is cutting the removable section. So I'm going to go with the branch line, which will run from that hole to that hole first. If I can get that one done and in place, I think then that is a good reference point to then put the up and down inclines in, and then I'll worry about the running lines later, because they're going to be the easiest ones. So that'll be my next job. So yeah, good little bit of progress. Happy with that, and we shall crack on. Now the next episode is going to be epic. We're going to be looking at building the sections to cross the door. Am I nervous about it? Yes, I am, but I think it'll be a really interesting thing to document and record. So thank you ever so much for watching this episode of Welbeck Junction. Here's a couple of recommendations. If you're enjoying the journey, please like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you again next time. Take care, people. Take care.